Today on What the Chuck podcast about your Treasure Valley Community College Chuckers, we're going to be doing an evaluation of the Northwest Athletic Conference, an overview of the Northwest Athletic Conference, what the conference is all about, the layout of sports play, athletic play, doing a breakdown of the whole conference, naming the teams that are in it, and also implementing your TVCC Chuckers into this podcast about the conference that they play in, the NWAC, Northwest Athletic Conference. Let's get right into it. So for starters, to pretty much understand the Northwest Athletic Conference, they are based obviously in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and there's also a community college that participates in sports that is in British Columbia, which is in Canada, and that is Douglas College. We'll be talking about that later on in the pod. They are obviously in the realm of where we play sports at here in the Pacific Northwest in the United States. So they are in Canada, but just below them is that United States-Canadian border in British Columbia. So there is that before we get into the Mama Jamma here. Let's just get right into this. So first of all, the NWAC is a nonprofit two-year college athletic conference for community colleges in the Pacific Northwest. The conference spans through the states of Washington, Oregon, and a college in British Columbia, Canada. The conference comprises of more than 30 members of community colleges, and it is actually the largest community college athletic conference in the United States. So there you have that, and that's just an overall simplistic view of what this conference is really about. You have to really understand the grind and respect that so many people have for this level of collegiate sports, and especially in conferences like this. You have to do a little bit of research yourself to really understand how much grind goes into this sort of thing, and how much people love to be a part of this stuff for the type of collegiate athletic competition where not everybody talks about it. Not D1, D2, D3 level sports. What's really special, the fact that this is such a misunderstood level of collegiate sports, makes it one of the greatest things about sports, because you have levels where obviously if you're D1, you're already there. You're pretty much getting ready for the pros at that point. But at these levels, these are developmental leagues, and I think I have the most intriguing view of developmental leagues in sports. So minor league baseball, the UFL in football, that gets you right into the NFL if you go on to do that. I really have a view of developmental leagues a different way, because I really like, probably my favorite thing is player development, and that's why I want to be an athletic director, after I graduate high school and college, or even a scout maybe. And the big goal is to be a GM somewhere. And you really have to respect that player developmental league status that this conference is all about. Now, the conference manages regional and conference level championships across multiple sports, providing structured competition for student athletes. This system was adopted when the NWAC was founded in 1946, originally named the Washington State Junior College Athletic Conference, which was also known as the WSJCAC. This league was founded in 1946. Okay, to put that out there, this league has been around for a while. It's definitely not new to anyone. It's been a thing in people's lives for a really long time. And I want to get this information out to you guys, to the people that don't necessarily understand the most of certain people, of this area of sports, and I want to give you that information to realize there's something real happening here at this level of collegiate sports as well. And we really have to pay some respects to a conference like this. All right, so now we're going to talk about the expansion, how this conference has developed into what it is today. So originally it was a Washington Collegiate Sports League, just for the state of Washington, pretty much. Now, in 1970, they decided to expand that conference to the state of Oregon, and then eventually they merged with Oregon's Community College Athletic League in 1983. Now, this process eventually created a circuit where we got all the way up to Douglas College, which is in British Columbia, Canada. So there is an international presence in this conference as well. Now, Douglas College doesn't necessarily participate in all athletic competition, so not all the sports. I believe they play in one or two sports, and they're not necessarily well known when it comes to the rest of the conference. And I just want to also give out that there is a team from Canada, and they participate in one or two sports, and that's the Douglas College Royals. So there you have that. Now we have to think about, if you're thinking about, this is a developmental league, if you're thinking there's no talent coming out of this league, trust me, there is, okay? And this list I'm about to tell you proves it. These are notable athletes that participated in the Northwest Athletic Conference, and most of these guys eventually went on to play at the professional level of the sport that they played. This league is legit, so you have to take this seriously. This conference is not a joke, trust me. So if you have that mindset, get that out of your head quickly. So, notable athletes that participated in the Northwest Athletic Conference. We'll give you the name, we'll give you the sport that they participated in, and the college that they participated for. So, Cyrus Hotstetler is the first one I like to talk about. He ran track and field at Lane Community College. He eventually went on to Oregon to set Oregon University, D1, Oregon Ducks, and he went on to do great stuff there as well. Now, Clint Didier went to Columbia Basin. He played basketball. He eventually went on to the G League, I believe. Most people may know who Marjon Beauchamp is. He is a G League player in the NBA currently. He went to Yakima Valley, obviously men's basketball. I actually met Marjon Beauchamp. We went out to a game a couple of years ago. The Chucks were in a race for the region title. This team was legit. Trust me. This is probably the best men's basketball team we've ever had, at least in the 2000s on era. And we went up to Yakima because Yakima was in the race for the region title too. So these are the two best teams in the East region for men's basketball at the time, and probably the best basketball game I've ever watched. But earlier in that day, women's basketball played a game earlier in Yakima, same day. Men's and women's go up to Yakima that day. During the women's game, I believe it was at halftime, I met Marjon Beauchamp, and trust me, this guy was huge. His hands were insane. I swear, those things were like you don't realize how big NBA players' hands are. It's insane. So I just wanted to give you that little information out there. So great, cool guy. Got a picture with him. Marjon Beauchamp, Yakima Valley. He's playing G League ball. He actually got drafted in the first round by the Milwaukee Bucks a couple years ago. And as of today, he's playing G League ball in the National Basketball Association. Gabe Sandy is the next one. He went to the Wenatchee Valley. He played soccer player there. And then we got our very own Treasure Valley Chucker, played baseball. His name is Aaron Sutton. He has an interesting journey because he played at TVCC, and then he went on to keep playing baseball until the point where he actually worked in I believe in the Twins organization, the Minnesota Twins organization, which is Major League Baseball. He has also been around the area of Idaho and Oregon doing other stuff as well when it comes to baseball. He actually just got into the NWAC Hall of Fame. I believe it was 2 years ago. And I was actually there at the hotel that year, that weekend when they got inducted into the NWAC, into the Northwest Athletic Conference Hall of Fame. My dad had a conference thing going on there too as well. And really cool guy as well. Great baseball player. Has a cool journey that I'd like to elaborate more on maybe in another episode. But the main points is he worked in the Twins organization, and he's done other baseball activity around the area, and he's coaching and all that cool stuff there. So really cool guy, Aaron Sutton. Okay. Now, Karen Bryant, she played basketball at Grays Harbor College. She ended up actually playing in the WNBA. This is, again, professional. This conference is legit. I can't tell you, I can't influence you more enough. I can't prove it harder that this conference is legit. We have to take it seriously. This league is not a joke. This level is not a joke. Collegiate sports is collegiate sports. And it obviously tells, because pretty much all of these guys played at a semi or professional level of the sport that they competed in at the Northwest Athletic Conference. For example, Karen Bryant, like I said, she made it all the way to the WNBA. We have guys like Marjon Beauchamp, who was drafted in the first round of the NBA draft. And his beginnings started at Yakima College as a young freshman and sophomore athlete. It's legit. It's a legit pipeline for higher levels of collegiate sports. I'd say this conference leans towards more of basketball success coming out of it. Just because there's more, statistically, there's more basketball players that have gotten to ranks like Beauchamp and G League and all that, more likely than other sports. But all around, it's just a really good pipeline for higher collegiate level sport, higher collegiate level divisions and, levels, D1, D2, D3, especially like NAIA, which is below D3 sort of deal. And if you don't know what a pipeline is so to give you the easiest terms on it, I would just say that a pipeline is a sort of a area for, in recruiting terms, an area where a coach likes to recruit. Okay. Now, for example, Boise State's football coach, Spencer Danielson, his pipeline is probably in the Northern California range. He looks for recruits mostly in the Northern California area because that's where he used to coach. That's where he's used to. That's where he's from. He's been there for a long time, and then he comes to Boise, and boom, no surprise, you got Northern California recruits coming to play Boise State football. And then you got other pipeline examples like the NWAC, like D1, D2 college coaches look for pipelines in lower level collegiate sports to get them to transfer out and to build a roster. And that is the NWAC is a perfect pipeline scenario, situational stuff there. You can have your pick of the crop from conferences like this. After you graduate from your freshman, sophomore year, again, this is a 2-year college system in the athletic world at Northwest Athletic Conference. And then boom, you go on to do whatever, D1, D2 school. And that is the actuality for a conference like this. So, Paul Fiscum, Clackamas played baseball, Clackamas Community College. And to round up a couple of the names, Kathy Murphy Carey, she played softball at Peninsula College. And she ended up doing some semi-pro professional softball as well. And obviously there's many more. I just wanted to give you some names just to give you the idea that this league is legit and you can get somewhere from starting with humble beginnings in a conference like this in collegiate sports. And to wrap off the first page of my notes here, the conference headquarters is located in Vancouver, Washington, which is kind of, I'd say, northern Washington, I believe. It is where Clark College is located. And I believe that Seattle is in the general area of it. I think it's somewhat of a drive, but just to give you that vision, the ideology. So yeah, Vancouver, Washington, if you ever want to look it up. All right, let's get into the teams. Who are the teams that participate in the Northwest Athletic Conference? Total number of participants, more than 30 community colleges that participate in the Northwest Athletic Conference. Teams are separated into 4 regional divisions, and at the end of the athletic season, top finishers in each region compete for an NWAC title. Some sports are different than others. I'd like to say that before we get into this. We're going to be talking about the teams that are separated into regions right now at a volleyball standpoint, because we're getting right into volleyball, and we're also going to give you the soccer standpoint. So, we'll elaborate more on this later, but regions are different when it comes to different sports in the NWAC. Teams play in different regions depending on the sport that they're playing in. Not to confuse you too much, but volleyball and soccer is pretty dang normalized. You know, there's no big differences really. It's really the big misunderstanding and easiest to be confused by is men's and women's soccer have teams that participate, and then you can have the same college in. So for example, if Pierce College is competing in men's soccer, there is a situation where Pierce College does not have a women's college soccer team, and that just makes it an actuality where people get confused. So I'll try to elaborate as much as I can on what is going on here, the system that is going on. But we're going to start with volleyball because that is pretty much the slam dunk generic view of things. There's nothing real big change-wise, so let's get right into it. So we're going to start. So obviously, you got the North, South, East, and West regions. These are basically divisions, okay? Basically divisions for the conference. So, in the North region, we have Bellevue College, Everett College, Olympic College, Shoreline Community College, Whatcom Community College, Edmonds College, and Skagit Valley College. The South region includes Chemeketa Community College, Lynn Benton Community College, Clark College, Mount Hood Community College, Southwest Oregon Community College, Lane Community College, Clackamas Community College, and Rogue Community College. The West region has Green River College, South Puget Sound Community College, Tacoma Community College, Highline College, Pierce College, Lower Columbia College, and Centralia College. And now our region. The Chuckers participate in the East region, and these are the teams that we play pretty much twice in a year. Depending on the sport, maybe 3 times. So we have Big Bend Community College, Walla Walla Community College, Wenatchee Valley College, Yakima Valley College, Columbia Basin College, Spokane Community College, Blue Mountain Community College, and your TVCC Treasure Valley Community College Chuckers. That is your volleyball layout. It's going to be different for men's and women's basketball. It's going to be different for baseball. It's going to be different for softball. Nothing is really the same, switching from sport to sport. And you're going to realize this in soccer. Soccer is weird. So, going into soccer, the North and East region are the only regions in the entirety of NWAC soccer that have the same teams for both the women and the men. The same number of teams, the same specific colleges. Now, the West and the South, men's college, NWAC men's college has different colleges than women in the West and South. You're going to realize this in a minute. So first we're going to start with the North and East regions, where it's the same for men's and women's. Same colleges, same participants. So, for both men's and women's soccer, the North region includes Bellevue College, Everett Community College, Shoreline Community College, Whatcom Community College, Edmonds College, Skagit Valley College, and Peninsula College. And your East region, there is only one team that is taken out of the East region. They do not have a soccer program, and that is Big Bend. So you got the other normal participants in our region: Walla Walla, Wenatchee Valley, Yakima Valley, Columbia Basin, Spokane, Blue Mountain, and TVCC. We both have men's and women's soccer programs, and those are the only two regions where everything is the same when it comes to women's and men's college soccer. Now, stick with me here. This is where it gets different. On the men's soccer side, the West region includes Centralia College, Clark College, Highline College, Tacoma College, South Puget Sound College, Community College, and Pierce College. Now, on the women's side, here's the big difference. You're going to tell real quick. The West region, the same region I just said, on the men's side, this is the women's side now. Centralia College, Clark College, Highline College, Tacoma Community College, South Puget Sound Community College, Pierce College. Those are all the same schools. But now you have Lower Columbia College, you have Grays Harbor College, and you have Green River College. Those are three new schools that are in the same region, just in a different soccer experience. The men have these number of teams, and then the women have 3 extra teams in the same region. That's the difference there. That is where people most likely get confused, but that is the actuality in NWAC sports. As you move on, as you process through sport by sport in the athletic year, it gets different. Even teams switch from different regions to different it's a weird process. I'd say volleyball is the easiest to follow. Volleyball and basketball are the easiest to follow. Soccer is sort of weird, but when it gets really weird is softball season. We will discuss that when it comes springtime. But this is the weirdness of soccer. So there's that difference. Now the South region on the men's soccer side, SWAC, Southwest Oregon Community College, we call it SWAC. Portland Community College, Chemeketa Community College, Rogue Community College, Klamath Community College, and Lane Community College. Now, the women's side. Portland Community College, Chemeketa Community College, Rogue Community College, Klamath Community College, Lane Community College, SWAC Community College. Those are the same teams as the men's side. But now you have Umpqua College and Clackamas Community College. 2 extra teams on the women's side. There's the weirdness there. That's the funny part about the NWAC. Nothing is really the same when it comes to different sides of sports, layout-wise, team-wise. And it really changes the aspect of postseason play, championship play. But that's what makes it fun. That's what makes it fun, especially at this level where things change like this. It's a very unique concept that's going on in this actuality of a competitive layout for teams in a conference, and it's just a fun process to follow. And we'll get through that when it comes to championship time, and we'll talk about it on the podcast when it gets to championship time. And I'm especially looking forward to following that process, trying to get a back-to-back for volleyball. And soccer is on the rise. I'm telling you, we're getting there. We're getting there. Step by step. The foundation is set. Now we just need to rise up. We got the recruiting. The recruiting has been more successful. It's been better. I've looked at Instagram platforms, Facebook platforms. Things are on the rise with the soccer program for the Chuckers as well. Now, you have the layout. You have pretty much the overview of the Northwest Athletic Conference, the conference where the TVCC Chuckers participate in. Now, to wrap up this podcast episode on the What the Chuck podcast, we're going to talk about the Northwest Athletic Conference Executive Board. These are the big dogs. Okay? These are the big dogs when it comes to the business side of athletic competition in the NWAC. These pretty much handle all the business operations. So it's equivalent to kind of like, you know how you have like a president of baseball operations in the MLB, and they have their own front office staff. This is pretty much the front office for the whole conference sort of deal. That's the vibe I'd think to give out. And we have to say these names at some point, because these are important names we have to process. And like I said, with notable people at TVCC, these are notable people that if I mention them as well, it's probably important. So here we go. The executive board for the NWAC as of today and the 2026-2027 athletic year for NWAC sports. Allie Rose is the athletic commissioner for Peninsula Allie Rose is an athletic commissioner from Peninsula College, and she represents the North Region. Rick Ross, athletic director from Peninsula College, also represents the North Region. Jenny Rosselli Hull, athletic commissioner, Spokane Community College. She represents the East Region. Brad Baker, athletic director from Blue Mountain Community College, East Region representative. Jason Prenovost, athletic director from Tacoma Community College. He is a West Region representative. Sienna Larson McCallick. Sorry if I butcher your guys' name if you're listening somehow. She is the assistant athletic director at Tacoma Community College and a West Region representative. Jamie Frazier, athletic commissioner from Lynn Benton Community College, a South Region representative. Adam Whitlatch, athletic director from Southwest Oregon Community College, South Region representative. Dr. Jenny Martin, president of Spokane Community College. She is the president representative of the state of Washington. Dr. Patty Scott is the president of Southwest Oregon Community College, and she is the president representative for the state of Oregon. Cheryl Holden is the vice president of student services at Columbia Basin College. She is the student services representative for the state of Washington. And then last but certainly not least, my favorite board member, not biased, maybe a little bit, to wrap up the What the Chuck episode today, Mr. Travis McFetridge, Vice President of Student Services, Treasure Valley Community College, and he is the Student Services Representative for the State of Oregon on the NWAC Executive Board. That will do it for the What the Chuck podcast today. Thank you so much for watching and allowing me to give you this content about Treasure Valley Chucker sports and the Northwest Athletic Conference. Hope you have a great rest of your night. and go Chucks.